Alright, so what's going on, guys? My name's Chopper and welcome back everybody to a brand new video, and in this one I wanted to talk about the brand new Savage PUBG map, the 4x4, the new one that just dropped on the test server, and I wanted to give you my overall opinions on this and what I think is good about it, the things that I think that are bad, what should be changed, and how I feel in comparison to the other maps in this game. But keep in mind going into this is that this is still on the test server and they wanted to bring this out just to see how it plays and the changes that they need to make. Like, by no means is this a finished product in any sense of the word, so just keep that in mind as we go into this review. But if you guys do end up enjoying this, then please make sure you do leave a like rating on it. That would be absolutely awesome. Don't forget to subscribe if you are brand new to this channel for more PUBG content. I would greatly appreciate it. Every single day we're getting closer to 100,000, and if you'd like to help that out, then hitting that subscribe button is a huge help to me. So I think to make things easier with this review, I ought to break down every subject into 3 parts. So I want to talk about the bad first, the good things, and then the final segment is basically overall thoughts, what I think need to be changed, and things that I should stay in. So all that, keeping all that in mind, let's go ahead and get started. Now, talking about the bad things, to be honest, there aren't a whole lot of things that I have to complain about this map or that I dislike, aside from glitches, which are very apparent in this map as well. Now, I'm not going to talk about glitches too much or bugs that are within this, because keeping in mind, as I said at the beginning of the video, this is still a test server. This was experimental. They literally called it on the program, and this was for them to see what works and what doesn't work. So there are going to be bugs. That's unavoidable, and I fully expected that going into it. So I don't really want to focus on those too much. We're just going to be assuming that this is the polished version of the map and things are working properly, and then, you know, we can actually talk about things that I dislike. So I guess the first thing right off the bat that I noticed that I didn't really like too much is the fact that it doesn't really matter where you go at the beginning of the game, because you're going to end up finding the same loot pretty much always. Now, I don't have a problem with that in particular. I really like consistency, but the thing with Miramar and the thing with Erangel is that there's a big difference between going to somewhere like Picado for Miramar, or school, or military base, or any of these big names that most of the population drop towards, and then going just to somewhere random, maybe an unnamed or very, very small location, right? Because you're going to get a noticeable difference in loot. There's a less of a risk factor going to those as well. Now, in this map, it doesn't really matter where you go too much. I mean, if you go to an unnamed place, you might not end up with the best gear, but you're at least going to get a decent gun and stuff like that, and it just, there's less of a contrast between big name places and then the little names. And the only reason I'm not a big fan of that is because it makes every single playthrough, everywhere you drop, feel the same, and it kind of would get old fast if you don't really go anywhere big, but you're gonna get the same loot anyhow. So there's no reason to go to these places for the most part anyway. And the idea, I get it, is that, like, it's a smaller map, there's less time for you to get looted and set up, so they're gonna give you more stuff overall, right? So even the little places are gonna have decent guns just so you can stand a chance. But this is an easy fix. It just kind of comes down to loot balancing. I know it's a very articulate algorithm and it's going to be hard to balance 100%, but that's just something I notice, is that it doesn't really matter where you go in terms of loot. Another issue I have is the pacing that happens in most matches here. It's very, very fast paced at the beginning, which is cool. You know, like, it's similar to Fortnite, where a lot of people die right off the bat because a lot of people go the same places and people are going to get killed within the first minute or so. And then there's a decently fast paced mid game, and then a very fast paced late game. In this match, it's kind of similar, but the only problem is that the mid game is very slow. When there's like 20 left and the first circle is just coming in, it seems like once all the dust is settled from right when everybody gets their initial loot, then they post up in their houses and wait to decide on the next circle what they're gonna do, and nobody moves a muscle. It's like, I don't know, that it makes the consistency of and the flow of each match very, very weird. Now, this doesn't happen always. I must caveat that it doesn't happen that way always, but I'd say like maybe 70% of the time you have these very slow mid games, which kind of defeats the purpose of having a smaller map anyway. But honestly, that's a little bit of a nitpick, and it's an easy fix as well. They just need to make the circle, I would propose the initial one a little bit smaller, that you would compact people more in the mid game, and then make the circle move even faster. It's already pretty fast in this as it is and as it stands, but if it's even faster, I honestly wouldn't have a problem. It would make the match just go even quicker, and I feel like that's the whole purpose of having a map like this. And I suppose the final thing that I have to complain about is that while this is a brand new map, there's really nothing new here. And again, I don't know if they are going to bring new stuff when the final product is ready for us, but I would like to have seen some new tests like weapons or vehicles in this already. What I'm a really big fan of what Fortnite does is that they're constantly updating, always adding new stuff in, seeing how the community likes it, seeing how the game plays, and deciding from there whether or not they're going to keep it in the final finished product. So like, I don't know why we didn't see like something crazy like an RPG or whatever, just to try out. It is a test server, just try it out, see if it sticks, see if people like it, and then, you know, you can fine tune it as such. But there was like nothing new besides the map itself. This will be remedied in the future when they add new weapons, new vehicles, and new features, but I just don't understand why they're going to make an experimental test server and not try out new stuff like along with it with the new map. It would only make sense if they were going to just have a big trial for a lot of different stuff at once, and instead of spreading it out. It's a little weird, but that was just a small complaint that I have, but obviously that can be easily fixed. So those were the main things that I didn't like about this map, the things that I felt were noteworthy and that I actually should mention and talk about. There's other few little things, but they're very nitpicky, and I just don't want to sound like a complainer, so I'm going to keep those to myself, and they honestly don't bother me that much at all. And again, I'm not really counting glitches or bugs that happen in this map like you're seeing on screen right now, just because it's an experimental test server, and I'm going to give them some leeway. But now let's transition a little bit here and talk about the things that I liked about this map. Because this map is so small, it gets the job done. Its purpose of being a more fast-paced version of PUBG is executed perfectly. The big complaint that I hear when I talk to a lot of gamers about their differences between whether they like PUBG, whether they like Fortnite or whatever, or just this game in general, is that a lot of people find it to be too slow for them. It's not able to keep them engaged as much, and there's a lot of breaks in the action where you're almost literally just doing nothing. And I agree, PUBG can end up like that sometimes, where it's just super slow and it's hard to keep your attention, and not a lot of people like games like that. But this map was something that we needed. If you're a big fan of Fortnite, the way that plays, but you want to get into PUBG, I would say this map is going to be for you. It's going to be similarly paced to Fortnite, where it's a very, very like aggressive beginning game. The mid game, like I said earlier, is a little bit slow, but that can be easily fixed. And then the late game's also really fun in here. And that's why I feel like this is like the Fortnite fans' PUBG. It's a lot easier to get into than the other maps. A big problem with Erangel and Miramar, it's not really a problem, but it is a thing, is they're very hard to understand all the maps, the ins and outs, where the best loot is, where you should be at all times based on the given circle, and those are some things that you just learn with time. Like, it's not a skill, it's just hours played that you end up picking up on. But in this map, it's a lot easier to understand. It's more simplified, the zone moves, and you'll know where to go. And aesthetically, the map is just like easy to look at, and I think that is a big plus and something that PUBG needs. My problem with Miramar is the big open spaces, the rocks, and the crazy amount of distance that you can see is almost a little bit too intimidating for newer players, and it's not always friendly to a casual experience. And that's what I feel like this does best, is the casual PUBG experience. Something that I hear from people all the time, and that I do agree with to some extent, is that when you're playing a match of PUBG on either of the maps, it's like a very, very serious experience, right? It's like a lights off, headset on kind of deal. You got to dedicate at least a half an hour to a match if you want to play it all the way through, and it requires a lot of focus, like a ridiculous amount. And I do agree with that. It can be very taxing and stressing mentally, but this map is so casual and just easy to play. You could play it with friends over if you all want to like take turns on it, and you could play this one. I wouldn't recommend it without a headset, but it's very possible, right? I know you guys understand what I'm getting at. I guess what I'm trying to say is a much more mentally relaxing match to play. Since they move quicker, there's more times for breaks and just to relax a little bit and chill out, and I'm a big fan of that. That's something that I felt like PUBG needed. Some days I wouldn't even want to play PUBG at all just because of how mentally taxing it is, and I was just like, nah, like I want to chill out. This game is something that I have to dedicate a lot of my mental power to and always be focused at all times, and some days you're just not feeling that. But when we have this map in the regular rotation and it's finally going, it can be played over and over again without having to dedicate massive amounts of time and your energy to this thing. And this was a huge strong suit for this map and why I love it so much. So now finally getting to my overall opinions on it, I think that it is great where it is, and I'm a big fan of the potential of it. It could use a little work, especially when it comes to glitches. I'm not going to sit here and ignore them, because right now the gameplay you're watching, this game was bugged. Like, I was just walking and it was a super slow pace. I had to be sprinting sprinting at all times if I wanted to move hardly at all. It was kind of annoying, but you know, these things don't happen that often. There are bugs, guys, absolutely, but those will be patched out. That's why it's a test server. That's why it's experimental. So I'm not really counting those to judge my overall map opinion, but as it is right now, it is a very solid experience, and I think that's something that PUBG needed, that will bring a lot of new players in that just like casually want to play. But that being said, I hope it also can retain older players that have been on this for a while and used everything already, because my biggest issue is that there's still nothing new, right? I want them to add like new equipment, new guns, and vehicles on a consistent basis, and that will get people excited and really into this game. Imagine they add like claymores to this map that you can pick up as equipment. It's not a new weapon, it's not technically like a new grenade, but we have something like that that changes the game up a little. You guys can let me know your opinions on that in the comment section down below of whether you would like to see new features added on a consistent basis to this game, whether that be new weapons, new vehicles, or something that we didn't expect, right? I want them to surprise us a little bit and to bring constant flow of updates to this game, and that's where it's lacking right now. But overall, this map is a huge step in the right direction, and I can't wait to play even more when it's a finally finished product. But anyways, guys, that is going to be my official review for this map. I really hope you did enjoy it. Also, if you guys have ended up playing this map, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. We can kind of get a little bit of a discussion going. But yeah, that's pretty much going to be it for today. We can go ahead and wrap the video up here. If you guys did end up enjoying it, like I said, be sure you do leave a thumbs up. It'd help me out greatly. Subscribe if you are brand new to this channel for more PUBG content. I have a lot of new videos, some really cool stuff coming out in the near future, so stay tuned for that. But other than that, hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your day, and I'll see you all on the next live stream or the next video. Peace out.